I owe $9,000, y'all.
Iris really looked at me and said, "You've made enough money this year. You're gonna owe $2,456 this year."
I got a kid's meal today because I can't afford after that. I got a kid's meal.
I substantially made more this year than last year. For comparison, I had to pay $7,000 in taxes last year. So it was a huge jump.
What's up, y'all? It's your favorite retiree under 6'2", age that is. I'm the Young and Free Retiree. Now, before we jump into today's videos, I need y'all to go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button for your boy. I appreciate it. Y'all know what yesterday was, right? The adults in the room know. Everyone with a J-O-B knows what yesterday was. Yup. April the 15th. Annual tax day. Don't we just love it? Not really. Now, this time of year can be an incredible time of year for those that receive a refund.
I think what everyone wants to know now is, what are you going to do with all this money?
I'm going to reinvest my money into the community.
Oh, that's a very nice gesture. What were you... Okay. Is that your son?
No, I just bought this baby cash. No, straight up, though, I'm going to do the real thing and spend this money for y'all honkies. Change your minds.
Or it can be a terrible time of the year for those that end up owing money to Uncle Sam, who during this video I'll be referring to as Patriotic Unc. And it seems like a lot of people owe money this year, myself included. But more to come about that later on in the video. For now, let's jump into the first clip.
How much are you guys paying for your taxes? Or how much are you getting in return? Because me? I'm 24 years old eating a Velveeta mac and cheese in my 2011 Mazda 2 Sport, and the IRS really looked at me and said, "You've made enough money this year. You're gonna owe $2,456 this year." $2,456? Just for some context, I made $28,000 on my regular job, and then I made $7,000 on my 1099, which is TikTok videos, which is a grand total of what? $34,000. I made $34,000 and they're charging me $2,456. And after spending 3 hours of entering my $3,000 worth of deductions, I still owed $1,500 total. As a 24-year-old who made $34,000, who has about $14,000 in student loans, $1,500. I hope your tax season was better than mine. Cheers.
Look, when it comes to Uncle Sam, aka Patriotic Unc, he does not discriminate. He wants his money. My girl said she was 24, made $35K, $28K from her job, and then an additional $7K from TikTok, being an independent contractor, a 1099 employee, in the car eating mac and cheese with $14K in student loans. And she ended up owing 1.5 taxes this year. That is wild. If that's not a clear indication of what's going on out there, maybe this video will be a better indication. Alright, my girl with 1.4 million views on this video. So you know, we struck gold with this one right here.
I paid $40,000 in taxes this year. Let's talk about it. You guys know my content and my followers really skyrocketed this year due to going viral for some good, some bad, but they were all good for my content creator career, if that makes sense. Like, this is now my full-time income. I used to have a part-time job, but I was able to quit that. So yeah, I substantially made more this year than last year. For comparison, I I had to pay $7,000 in taxes last year, so it was a huge jump. Paying taxes as a influencer content creator was a lot harder than I thought it would be, and I really didn't know how to do anything, because last year I did not do any write-offs, nothing. I literally just put in my income and then had paid the taxes. But this year, since it was substantially more, I wanted to know how to do write-offs and stuff. And none of my family members are self-employed or have to do self-employment taxes, I guess. They all work 9 to 5. So my mom really wanted to help me, but she also didn't really know what to do. So we did go to tax people, and I will say they don't take you seriously until they know how much you make. Trying to explain to them the type of videos I made, it was kind of almost like they don't believe you, and then when you tell them the amount of money you make, they're like, oh my god, good job, so I got some help through them. I was able to find out that if you do an LLC and have your income go through them, then I think it's less tax than self-employed tax, but I didn't do that this year. I just learned about it. So yeah, but I did do write-offs. I am able to write off all the food that I film. I was able to write off trips, so plane tickets and some hotels, and I'm also able to write off cameras and stuff, and I would be able to write off my phone, but my mom currently pays for that. But yeah, so I did learn how to do that, but even with all the write-offs, I still paid $40,000, which was insane. And I know there's ways that some people do it quarterly, where you're paying that amount over time, and I definitely should have done that. It's not I didn't have the money. I had the money in the bank, but that was sad to see it be taken out. But yeah, and since I didn't know all the workarounds of creating an LLC, I had tried to do that, and me and my mom went to a bank to create a bank account for it, and the lady was not the nicest about it. She kind of treated us like we were dumb, and since I bring my mom, they always turn to her, even though it's my income and stuff. But yeah, but seeing that 40,000 and looking at how much I actually made this year was insane. Thinking this is my job, and I don't know, and some people are get a real job. It's this is a real job, and it pays just as much as a real job does. I know some people don't like to think it's a real job. It for sure is. Oh my gosh, it for sure. I guess it goes to show that bad press is still press, and now this is my full-time job. And I want to do this even after college and try to do it for as long as possible. And it really has changed my life. But this was not me saying, oh my god, I paid so much in taxes. Not me complaining, but me just, trying to show you guys what it's like to be a content creator. I want to do more videos where how to be a content creator sort of thing, because I think a lot more people could do it if they just posted videos. A lot of people are I wish I could have my trips paid for, and it's you could just start posting videos. That is all it takes. It took me 4 years to get to the point where I'm at, so it does take time, but you'll never know until you post that first video.
Yo, patriotic Unc out here cracking everybody upside the head and tapping them pockets for his money, especially influencers. Props to her for learning how to write things off and reduce her tax burden. And that was probably because of that tremendous jump in taxes from $7,000 the previous year to $40,000 in taxes this year. Look, one thing you have to remember when dealing with taxes is that there's tax avoidance and there's tax evasion. Tax avoidance is legal. Tax evasion is extremely illegal, and it might get you some jail time. I'm just saying. One thing you have to realize as an influencer, since you're a 1099 employee, also known as an independent contractor, and this also includes your gig type economy workers like your DoorDashers, your Lyft, your Uber drivers, and people of that nature, and there are so many other out there. They're called independent contractors. And what ends up happening is you're paid 100% of your money throughout the year. So what ends up happening is when tax time rolls around, patriotic Unc hasn't gotten his cut yet. Think about your W-2 workers. They pay taxes periodically throughout the year when they get paid each and every time. Patriotic Unc is getting his cut throughout the year periodically. But unlike with 1099 employees, which are paid 100% of their wages, so that's why he rolls around on April 15th, like with his hand out, like, put money in here. That's typically where a lot of people run into problems, especially influencers, because they have this large income and they didn't set aside any money throughout the year for tax purposes. They just took all the money and just did whatever they did with it and just thought that, I guess, like, Uncle Sam wasn't going to come around tapping them pockets. As a 1099 employee, you have to remember to set aside 20 to 30% of your income periodically throughout the year, so that when taxes roll around, that you have the money available to pay your taxes and you won't be caught off guard. Kind of like this next individual. And I just want to preface and say, please excuse the language.
When I tell y'all I'm fucking pissed, I need to tell y'all what the fuck just happened. So I just filed my taxes, right, y'all? And last year was the first time me really making money from TikTok and shit. So I filed my fucking taxes, right? And y'all, I got a kids meal today because I can't afford shit after that. I got a kids meal. Can't afford shit after that. Because why the fuck did they just tell me I owe $9,000, y'all? Who the fuck paying that? Y'all gonna have to get that shit back in blood because I don't know who the fuck about to pay that. She talking about some, we can put you on a payment plan. We could do this. Payment plan? What the fuck? Give me the bottle. This will be drunk tonight. We drinking this tonight because what the fuck do you mean? Oh, I owe that. Me? Ray Sean. But it's okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put that shit on a credit card, and then I'm gonna get the cash back from the credit card, and I'm gonna pay that shit off. But I did learn a lot from this shit. If you got an LLC, you lucky. I had an LLC, but guess what? I did the thing the fucking wrong way. So that's why I owe so fucking much. It was the self-employment fucking tax. But now I know better for next year, and now I'm about to pay my shit quarterly, because I'm not dealing with this shit again. Tonight, we drink. I'm done.
I apologize for the language, but this is a prime example of why it's so important to set aside that 20 to 30% throughout the year, so that when Patriotic Unc comes knocking at your door with his hand out, you'll have your money already together and good to go. One thing I do want to highlight about this video is the guy in the video, he did point out something that was incredibly important, and that was how important it is to make quarterly payments. Now, that's something that a lot of self-employed people do, and it makes a lot of financial sense, so that way they won't have a huge financial burden when tax time rolls around. It's a very smart thing to implement as a self-employed individual, because now you're on the proactive side with your taxes as opposed to being on the reactive side. And it helps you avoid a large tax bill in April. And like I said, that's an excellent way to be proactive with your taxes, but there's always another option.
What happens if I don't file?
So like you just forget about filing, you don't care that you got W-2s or 1099s?
Don't care, not filing.
Anything. Okay, there's actually a lot of people doing that, oddly enough, and people are actually deciding not to file right now because they think the IRS is going out of business. And I don't know where that's out there, but there's no way the IRS can go out of business. All right, here's what happens. IRS is a big computer, and it is getting those same documents that you get. So they're getting copies of your W-2, your 1099s, your mortgage interest, all that stuff. And they will send you a note that says, please file a return. And after 3, 4, 5 letters, it'll send you one that says, if you don't file, we're just going to file one for you. It's called a commissioner filed return. And they aren't going to give you any deduction. Then they'll send you a notice saying, please pay this bill. And if you don't, they will put you into their own little collection thing and eventually send you a letter that says we're going to levy the money you owe us, and they're going to get their money.
So I just finished my taxes, and I'm wondering, how long do they typically give you, like, in jail for not paying taxes? Because if it's like a couple months, I might do that next year. And then when you go, does it count for all of the years that you owe? Because something's got to give. And in my mind, like, Orange is the New Black, I could definitely survive that. That looked kind of fun to me. And I could do hair, so I probably would be good. Yeah, I'm gonna let him take me because this is crazy.
Now, I wouldn't advise anyone to take that route when it comes to taxes, because it could ultimately result in prison time and additional hardships and consequences. So I don't think it should be an option. The smart thing to do is to learn how to reduce your tax burden. That's something that I have to learn how to do now that I'm retired, because I just filed my taxes yesterday for 2023. And I owed about $800. Now, that was the first time I've ever owed. So that caught me a little bit off guard, I must admit. Because prior to that, I would always wait, obviously, to file my taxes and would never owe. But this time, yeah, maybe it's the change in retirement, income, and so forth. I did have a lot of changes that transpired that affected me financially, so I'm sure that really attributed to it. Now I know my $800 pales in comparison to other people's, especially those that were in these clips today. But once again, that's 800 of my dollars. You guys know I'm a frugal individual. I don't even want to pay 8 cents to patriotic unk. So I must admit, it caught me off guard a little bit. So now I got to start prioritizing my taxes, especially because when you're late paying your taxes, patriotic unk hits you with a 5% penalty fee. And don't quote me on this, but I want to say you're hit with a 5% penalty fee each month that you haven't paid your taxes. And the limit is 25% if I'm not mistaken. So it'll go up until it hits that 25% limit in fees of what you originally owe. But once again, don't quote me, but make sure you do your own research to ensure that you're implementing tax avoidance strategies and not implementing tax evasion strategies, because that'll get you a one-way ticket straight to prison, and you don't want that. I don't want that for you. So whatever you do, make sure you always pay your taxes. Try to pay them on time so you can avoid the 5% penalty fee or additional fees or whatever the case may be. And if you're a 1099 employee, start putting back 20-30% periodically throughout the year. Even your high income W-2 earners, put back money. So that way if you're underpaying, then you can pay it back and pay it quarterly throughout the year. So that way, I know my friend, one of my good friends that lives in Texas, she does that. And I think she was telling me she pays like $2 to $5 grand quarterly. I was like, whew. So always remember, put God first in everything that you do and live below your means today so later in life you can live beyond your means. I'm out.